Welcome to Pioneer Pod. So it's been a bit of break, and we have involved to get into our podcast in the live and in online version. So in this episode, in our first ever online episode, we have Leigh Farnell with us. He will be giving us his bit of background information, and he is a business and leadership coach. He have involved in this mentorship, business, and sales coaching for over 40 years and beyond. I met him in the SPN Business Networking Group, and he is a really good guy. And so we'll deep diving and getting a lot of information and what the current market and the people and new entrepreneurs can get benefited from him, and what is really important about sales, how to thrive and take their business to the next level. Leigh, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for your time and being here.
Thank you, Suraj. Thanks for having me on.
So we met, I think, on our last breakfast meeting in Canning Vale. So I saw you on another podcast as well. How has your last week been, and what you are busy on these days?
Well, as you say, I was on Edge Radio with Jeff Bowman and Aaron Malloy the other day, and that was a fantastic session that we did in their fantastic little studio they've got over there in Guildford Road. And that's one of the benefits of SBN, the Superior Business Network, and all the great work that David Beardsley does with the group. It's putting us all in touch with each other. And one of the principles that I have worked for 40 years with is the power of collective brain power and the power of the mastermind. As David says, the power of more. When you get people in a room who come from similar backgrounds, that is business, and they want to help each other grow, help each other expand, help each other learn. It's a principle that Napoleon Hill talks about in his Talk About Pioneer podcast, the pioneering book, Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you read that book, but Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, from Robert Kiyosaki.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a brilliant book where he interviewed over 500 successful business people, and one of the common factors was the power of the mastermind. People coming together, business people coming together in a spirit of harmony and cooperation, working towards a common purpose. So when, in their case, Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone, Henry Ford, a whole range of great business people getting together on a weekly basis to say, okay, what problems are you having? Where are you heading with your business? Let's brainstorm ideas to help you, and stretching each other to realize their full potential rather than, being comfortable in the comfort zone. And look, Harvey Firestone, Thomas Edison alone, that his company became General Electric, which under the great leader Jack Welch then had record growth for 30 years. So, when you study success, as Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues. When you study success and then you implement some of those seeds of success into your own life and your own business, you move forward. And being in a mastermind like Superior Business Network is exactly what Harvey Firestone and Thomas Edison and those did. And that's how you and I met. And there's a lot of great people in that network.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And, when I see you that for the first time, like you still have that energy, you have really positive vibe and helping people. And you're there for the first time, but you guided a lot of those business owners, like how they can thrive on their business. So, when we say sales, is it just a car salesperson or real estate or some other salespersons? And sales means if there is a business, let's say if you are in a grocery business or burger business or anything, if you are not good with people and sales, then you can't really serve more people and you can't achieve your goals. So can you just say us what's the difference between the primitive sales, what people will think, oh, sales means just that a boring guy or who is really pushy guy, or what the sale is in the another business. You have been involved with like a 40 or 48 others business, and what's the thing you learn from them and how you are guiding all those kind of businesses?
Well, when we're talking sales, if you're going to be in business, you need to know how to have a conversation with someone, find out if they have a problem that you can solve, and then have the conversation that talks about how you can solve that problem for them. And not only solve the problem, but do it in such a way that they are going to get great value from it. So, to give you a bit of history, I come from a place called Eagle Hawk in central Victoria. So I did a degree at Melbourne Uni and then came across to Perth to do a master's degree. But in my family, we grew up quite working class, quite poor. In fact, my father was a motor mechanic,
Hmm.
and I grew up in an environment where I remember my dad telling me, that bloody vacuum cleaner salesman, I bought this bloody vacuum cleaner and he bloody paying too much. It was an Electrolux vacuum cleaner. So back in the 1960s, door-to-door salespeople, they'd knock on the door and if they could get their foot in the door, and I'll never forget that night, the vacuum cleaner salesman was there. He tipped a pile of dirt on a piece of white carpet, and then he showed how the vacuum cleaner could clean it all up better than new. It's like, wow. And so it was the day of the door-to-door salesman. And in those days, you could go on hire purchase, so you got the vacuum cleaner and then you were paying it off for the goodness knows the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And
Hmm.
of course, if anyone who knew their numbers could probably see that you probably paid 2 or 3 times what you should have. And of course, my dad's going, hang on, we're still paying this vacuum cleaner off. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica encyclopedias above the fireplace. And of course, somebody sold my mother and father on those encyclopedias. And as my father said, by the time the kids got old enough to read them, they were already out of date. But so we grew up in my world, in my head. I had a very bad perception of salespeople because salespeople, made you buy things you didn't want, and then you were paying it off. So I had what we call sales snobbery. I'm not going to be a salesperson. Gee, my old man. Two things my dad said, don't become a motor mechanic where you get your hands dirty because every night he'd be washing his hands trying to get rid of the grease off his hands. Don't get a job like that. And
Right.
bloody salespeople. So I had a whole lot of biases about. So he said, get a job in the bank. Get a job in the bank. You wear a
Hmm.
white shirt every day. You wear a tie. You got a job for life. And funnily enough, in high school, by the time I could discover that I could swim, I could beat all the guys that could beat me in football and running, I could beat at swimming. So I got to be swimming, and then I was house captain, and I was then SRC president. So I would meet with the principal every week, talking about issues to do with the garbage bins need painting, or we're going to run a student newsletter, or we're going to run a fundraising money for Bangladesh, or whatever it is. The record room that we used to run. So I essentially had a whole lot of people in the school, SRC form captains, and then I was the president. My mate Wayne was the treasurer. So I would meet with the principal every week, and towards the end of the year, this is a fifth year of high school, the principal said to me, "What do you want to do? What job do you want?" I said, "I don't know. My dad says I should get a job in the bank." He goes, "I'll see what I can do for you." Next
Hmm.
week he came back and he said, "There's two jobs going in the bank. You can work for the State Bank of whatever it was, and the Commonwealth Bank, or the Bank of New South Wales." So I had two bank jobs that I could get. And when I went home to my father and said, "The principal's got me two bank jobs," he said, "Mate, you take them. That's perfect." I said, "I don't know. I'm thinking I might, I might go on to study and go to university." He said, "What? Are you a bloody idiot? Take the job." So that was one of my first decisions. Is to first of all, working in the bank meant, in my head I didn't have to sell. I wouldn't get my hands dirty. But to
Hmm.
tell my father that I was going to turn not one job down in the bank, but two,
Hmm.
um, he thought I was mad.
Hmm.
Um, so I went to university, and again, I was captain of the swimming and water polo club at Melbourne Uni, and I got my degree in human performance. And then I
Wow.
thought I wanted to, then I ran a gym for a while. And then that was the first time I actually had to sell. I went, oh
Hmm.
my God, what do I do here? Because you had to sell memberships to people join for
Hmm.
3 months or 6 months or 12 months. And funnily enough, as I was selling in this gym. It was a very small gym, and it was a partnership arrangement I had with this guy. It was an ad
Hmm.
I answered in the paper, Maidstone Gymnasium Squash Bar, way out in the suburbs of Melbourne. The guy said, "I'll go 50-50.
Hmm.
Whatever you make, I'll share 50-50 with you." And I went, gee, that sounds all right. Being not very good with numbers, even though I'd done a
Mhm.
degree. Um, One of the guys in the gym said, have you done the numbers on this? So what are you talking about? He said, mate, at any one time, you can only fit about 8 or 10 people in this gym. It's so small. How many memberships do you think you can sell? I went, oh my God, I never even thought of that. And even if we said, it could be 50 or 100 memberships, um,
Mhm.
I was soon going to hit the ceiling
Mhm.
of how much money I was going to make, let alone
Right.
then have to. So my first entree into business, I wasn't that smart, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
Not that I'm saying I'm that smart today,
Mhm.
but the opportunity came because I got a scholarship to go through university to do a
Mhm.
master's degree in Perth, and Perth was the place to do physical education. And because my dad had been ill, I wanted to help the rest of the world be
Mhm.
fit and healthy. So I came to Perth, and at university, the lecturers would say, "Mate, get the master's degree. All you do is you hang your shingle out. In other words, put the sign up. It says, I'm available, and the world will be the path to your door. You know, so not once. So therefore,
Yeah.
not once in 8 years or thereabouts of going to university was
Mhm.
the word sales mentioned. In fact, or marketing. So it was just like, no, you get the degree, and then you hang the shingle out, and people beat a path to your door. There you go. That is the biggest load of BS, misinformation, fake quackery.
Mhm.
And it took me a while to realise that, of course, most of the lecturers at university have
Mhm.
never, ever, 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 ever run their own business. They work from the office at university. The university pays for their office, and if
Mhm.
someone comes to them, they offer to do a project way under market rates, so that they charge $1,000 or $2,000. That pays for their holiday to Bali, and they're going, "How good's this? I'm getting a great salary and superannuation package at
Mhm.
university, and I can earn this money that pays for
Mhm.
the family trip to Bali."
Mhm.
So in terms of business knowledge and sales, none of that was ever mentioned. So coming back to what is sales to me? A mate of mine had said to me, "You need to learn how to sell. If you want to be in your own business, you need to learn how to sell." And my body almost went into like a catatonic shock. Like, what? No, no, no. I'm the man that wears the white lab coat. I'm the professional.
Mhm.
Professionals don't sell. Now you can imagine, as a mindset, anyone in business right now, no, mate, well, you're a complete idiot. And at that point in time, I was a complete sales idiot. And
Mhm.
I my mate insisted I go to a Tom Hopkins seminar. Tom Hopkins was a famous real estate sales trainer, an American, came through. He actually had a toupee. Yours is real, Suraj. His was a toupee. And he'd go and he'd talk about, the 226 ways to close. And Tommy had books on closing and sales. And I went, oh, Zig Ziglar would come through. But I did buy their tapes at the time. Do you know what a
Mhm.
tape is when I say
So
like,
recording?
yeah, recording
Yeah.
tape. So they would record all their
Mhm.
information, and they would sell them for $200 or $300, and that's how they made their money. Um,
Right.
so that was my first immersion into the world of sales, and
Mhm.
and really selling is not about selling ice to Eskimos. I mean, people say, yeah, he can sell ice to Eskimos. Do you know what I'm saying when I say that? In other words, the Eskimo doesn't need ice, but he buys it anyway because the person was so good at mesmerizing them, and
Right. Right. Mhm.
But in my world, selling is discovering if the person has a problem that you can fix,
Mhm.
solve, um, and can you leave them better? Can you improve their lives, improve their businesses in such a way that not only does it help them tomorrow and the next day, but those skills and those systems that you implement can last a lifetime. And so we have another system we call the R factor, the
Mhm.
relationship factor. We want to build lifelong relationships with clients.
Mhm.
And because we say, when it comes to the purple zone of my CZ6 selling system, the purple zone is everything that happens after you've done the deal. So that's
Mhm.
the servicing of the client, the management of the account, the building of the long-term relationship, and getting repeat business and referrals. So
Mhm.
we say one of the standards in the system is, in the ideal world, purple being purple patch. Purple
Uh-huh.
patch means business is just coming to you. How's it coming to you? It's coming to you through a systematic approach of getting repeat business and referrals.
Mhm.
So that's my part of my mindset in and around sales, and we can talk more about the system as we go forward. So does that answer the question for you?
Yeah, definitely. And you start your career in early age, but you didn't want it to be a sales agent or selling something. So what do you think there will be something which is really working from the primitive times to now, and what things have changed in sales?
Well, look, first of all, selling is a
Mm-hmm.
system, and whether it be 20 years ago or 50 years ago or today, step one of the first steps in selling, in fact, in our yellow zone, everything that happens before you meet the customer, the
Mm-hmm.
more you market, the more the customer knows about you, knows, likes, and trusts about you before you even walk in the door, the
Mm-hmm.
better. So let's just even take the encyclopedias that my father bought way back in the 1960s, Encyclopedia Britannica. They were known as the best encyclopedias in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They were the latest, they were the best, so they had a brand name. Electrolux, from what I remember, was the name of the vacuum cleaner. The brand was known, and it's a bit like McDonald's, or it's a bit like Coca-Cola,
Mm-hmm.
or Nike. The more we know, like, and trust about
Mm-hmm.
the brand before we go into the shop or decide to buy, the better.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be you in your business or me in my business or anyone, we talk about company brand, product brand, and personal brand.
Mm-hmm.
Company brand, product brand, personal brand. So let's
Mm-hmm.
just take company brand, Virgin. Virgin. There's all sorts of things we call Nike. The things we say Nike, elite athletes. Good gear, trustworthy gear, even ethical in terms of where they get it made. Then,
Mm-hmm.
if you take Branson, you've got Virgin, the airline, fun, customer focused, wanting to
Mm-hmm.
give good value. But at the same time, you've got Richard Branson, a personal
Mm-hmm.
brand. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a relationship with both the company, Virgin,
Mm-hmm.
but Richard Branson, the person, let alone the product, which might be the flight on the plane, or it
Mm-hmm.
might be Virgin Finance, or it might
Mm-hmm.
be Virgin Records. So there's different products. So each person needs to be thinking about that before you even get to meet with the customer. So the whole idea, we say the more you market, the less you sell. So if
Mm-hmm.
you can put that on through social media and autopilot, and obviously you doing your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
people are forming impressions, as people are right now forming impressions about you and me. I could be
Mm-hmm.
sitting here with a shirt and tie on.
Mm-hmm.
I could have a white shirt and a tie. I could have a red tie. I could have a blue tie. I could have a gold tie. Each of them create different vibrations, different perceptions, let alone why did today I not wear a skivvy? Wearing a skivvy and this jacket will be different than wearing this shirt and a jacket. I decided to be a bit more casual today, and of course, it's got my PDC logo on it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's that, and then so that doesn't change. Then what doesn't change is we say to the degree you are in rapport with someone, to the degree you connect, to the degree you like me and I like you, is to the degree we can go on a positive journey. Now, this comes from the area of study called neuro linguistic programming, NLP, that comes from Bandler and Grinder way back in the 1960s, 1970s. And as it works out, the first consulting team I worked in back in 1985, 8 of the 10 people on the team were master practitioners in neuro linguistic programming. So I was immersed
Mm-hmm.
in this area of neuro linguistic programming, which essentially is a whole body of knowledge as to
Mm-hmm.
how human beings can improve, can communicate better, and work towards excellence. They talk about modeling excellence. It's a great body of knowledge to help people both communicate, sell, influence, teach, parent, coach, at the same time improve themselves as sports people or business people or sales people.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony Robbins has built his whole business on NLP. He calls it neuro associative conditioning. what people associate you with. But he's has a net worth, I note the other day, of $600 million. But he's used all of that skill. And again, by the way, Robbins, something that hasn't changed also, is Robbins says, and I think this is a fantastic piece of knowledge, is that 80% of success is psychology, 80% of sales success, 80% of business success, 80% of life success is how we think, psychology, mindset, beliefs, stories we tell ourselves, our internal world, and 20% is our skills and the systems that we follow. Because if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to use the systems or improve your skills anyway. So coming back to this area of rapport, NLP says to the degree you and I connect, and we talk about background in relatedness, background in relatedness. I use the term points in common, points in common. So if I was to build further rapport with you, and obviously you and I had a bit of a laugh about hair, and of course self-deprecation is a very useful tool to be able to laugh at yourself and have a giggle. I mean, what we know, again, from psychology is when people are laughing with you, you've got an you're opening people up in terms of trust and connection. Doesn't mean you have to be a stand-up comic, but when there's giggle in the air, one of my clients who floated his company on the London Stock Exchange and was an absolute master of self-development, attitude. This particular fellow put all of himself and all of his original founders through the Dale Carnegie School, the Dale Carnegie School of Communication and Confidence, Dale Carnegie School of Positive Thinking. All of those founders ended up multimillionaires. He said, when you've got someone laughing, you've got them. So this guy literally practices telling jokes either on himself or other people, with other people, and getting people laughing, because off the back of that, he then moves into let's talk business. Now, there's a book I'm going to refer you to called The Psychology of Influence and Persuasion by a guy called Robert Cialdini. Cialdini is a professor at the University of Arizona, and the book Influence, Psychology of Influence and Persuasion, he got all the research that he could find on what gets people to agree with you and say yes. And so one of the key, what he calls levers of influence, or he sometimes calls them weapons of influence, is likability. Likability. Do I like you? How likable are you? And so part of likability is all of these things we're talking about in terms of self-deprecation, humor, getting to know you, listening, background in relatedness. So, you know, what I've done over the years, by the way, Suraj, is I've been like a seagull, or collecting all this information and put it into this CZ6 system, so that it can be taught, and coached to others. Because often a great salesperson isn't that conscious of what they do that makes them great. They just say, well, just do what I do. Yeah, but what do you do? How do you think? Often they haven't deconstructed. You know, they've sometimes been great salespeople from the age of 5. They've just been good at talking to their mum or convincing. And there's so many factors that go into it. But if we talk about this one, rapport, if we start to go, we call it FORN, in no particular order, finding where are you from, a little bit about your family. FOR, occupation, what's your job? R, hobbies and recreation. And N can be nationality. And then what you're looking to do is, I say rapport is like Velcro. You're looking for points, how many points can stick. So we'll do this here. I often like to say to people, as soon as I know they've got an accent, I'll go, what's that? I don't even go which country. I don't guess. I don't go which country, or I try and guess the country, because you can insult people straight away. Right. So in your case, Suraj, let's just do this as a role play, a drill, an exercise, which again, we want to get good at something, you've got to do drills. So Suraj, what is that accent of yours?
I'm a Nepalese.
Nepalese. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So does that mean you can climb mountains or not?
Yeah, just a little bit of mountain, not the hills. Like everyone asks me, as I said, I'm from Nepal. Everyone asks me, have you climbed Mount Everest?
Yeah.
It's not that easy.
Yeah. No, fantastic. But I haven't been there. The closest I've been there was we went to India, but I want to get to Nepal.
Mhm.
And again, without so Nepal, is everybody up there Buddhist, or are they some other uh, religion or
Majority is Hindu, like let's say
Hindu?
about 60, 70% is Hindu.
Uh-huh.
Buddha was born in Nepal, but he was from the Hindu family as well.
Uh-huh.
And but we have that all freedom to follow whatever religion you want, and about 30%, 20 to 30% is Buddhist.
Wow, fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic, mate. So one of the things that I've done in the last 3 to 5 years is started listening to Sadhguru. Do you know
Mhm.
Sadhguru? So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he,
yeah.
he
He is newly emerged now. Like he's getting really momentum and popular.
Oh, well, it is
Yeah,
about
yeah.
energy. That's Sadhguru in terms of, we're energetic beings. We're energetic beings, and so coming back to immersing myself more and appreciating more that whole Hindu, that Buddhism, all of that, the energetics or the spirituality coming out of that part of the world. Certainly in the last, well, since then, since COVID, I've got more and more involved in meditation and
Hmm.
and 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 the benefits of meditation in terms of not only slowing down but also the ideas that come and the de-stressing that comes from meditation. And when interestingly, I'm trying to think of the guy's name now that wrote the book Tools of the Titans. But literally, I've got to try. I'll have to dig it up for you. But he said 80 to 90% of the high performers that he studied,
Hmm.
80 to 90% of the people that he studied meditated.
That's right. Yeah.
You just go, wow, that's an incredible number. So meditation, what the hell has that got to do with a person performing at their peak? Now,
Yeah.
clearly, it's everything from how you set your day up to how you visualize your day mentally at the start of the
Mhm.
day. And in my case, these days, the meditation I try and do, I do meditation in the morning, and ideally
Mhm.
I do it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon as well. So 2 sessions a day.
Mhm.
Transcendental meditation suggests that, but I do Vedic meditation. And in fact, my teacher went and spent 3 months in Nepal or up around that region,
Ah,
to
over
become
there.
a meditation teacher. So,
Mm-hmm.
needless to say, when I bump into people from your part of the world, I love to have this very discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're talking about high performance and we're talking about sales and we're talking about health and mental health and well-being, so much of what you guys have done for anywhere between 5 and 40,000 years in and
Mm-hmm.
around Nepal and Tibet and those
Mm-hmm.
regions is influencing and has influenced the world in such an incredible way. Um, whether it be, Einstein to, as I said, Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is the guy I'm talking about. Tim
Mm-hmm.
Ferriss saying, Jerry Seinfeld, Oprah Winfrey, Hugh Jackman. It goes on and on. People involved in meditation. Now,
Yeah.
we've just talked there in terms of getting rapport, by the way. I've
Mm-hmm.
just touched on accent. If we wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go further, I'd say,
Mm-hmm.
tell me a bit and tell me well, in fact, let's just go to the next one. Oh, by the way, let's go family. So are you married with kids, or your family are over here with you as well? Or what's your family
Yeah.
situation?
As soon as I get married, I came here with my wife, and we have a lovely son. He's 20 months, like nearly 2 years now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So it's
And,
been, I think, 7 years
oh, beautiful,
of marriage.
beautiful.
Yeah.
So having a son, mate, see, I've got one son and two daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've got three grandsons, about to have a fourth grandson. So having all
Wow.
that boy energy around, a lot of kicking of ball, throwing of balls, swimming, wrestling, all of these fun things you can have with boys, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. We look for the good things on every people rather than, like looking at the negative side. We want to look at the good and positive side and compliment them and
Yes,
genuinely compliment them, not
yes,
flatter them. So
yes,
that's the strategy. And as you mentioned, one book, How to Influence Friends and Family. I read that book twice and thrice. I'm learning the basics of those methodology as well, and that's why what I asked you, and what it's been changing and working, and what's not working, and what's been reversed and polished in today's market. And when sales comes out, they think it's just about knocking doors and pushing people. As you said, it's not about that. It's about understanding their need and understanding what actually they need and how we can help them, and then business and cash flow will follows.
Absolutely. Well, another key principle, and again, this comes from NLP, we say selling is a transference of emotion. Zig
Mhm.
Ziglar, the old famous Zig Ziglar, was a pots and pans salesman. And he said, selling is a transference of enthusiasm, selling is a transference of confidence, selling is
Mhm.
a transference of connection. And so it's a transference of energy coming back to Sadhguru. So one of the principles which you've touched on there is a principle that I teach, which is called the I like you principle. The I
Mhm.
like you principle, because it's
Mhm.
very easy to go, oh, this person's going to say no. And so NLP says your emotional state is contagious. State is contagious. So if I'm nervous about
Mhm.
meeting you, you
Mhm.
pick up on that before I
Mhm.
even open my mouth. Whereas
Mhm.
if the state I'm in is, I like you. In fact, and we say state, NLP says state is determined by what I'm focusing on, what I'm
Mhm.
thinking, what I'm looking for, what I'm focusing on, and my body and my breathing. So if I come to your door and I've already in my head go, I like you, I'm going to find reasons I like this person. In fact, one of the
Mhm.
other coaches, Joel Bauer, calls it the gift shift. Not only do I like you, I'm bringing gifts for you. I'm
Mhm.
bringing gifts. And so it's a mind control, it's a mind influencing. You're influencing your own mind first, right to the point where, as Tom Hopkins said, the first sale you make every day is the
Mhm.
sale you make to yourself. The sale you make to yourself, which says, I'm going to do great things today. Today's going to be a great day. I'm bringing great gifts and great value to people, you know,
Mhm.
and so that's why the yellow zone is almost one of the most important zones. The yellow zone is the first zone. Why is it yellow? Because it's yellow's the sun. Yellow's optimistic. It's like in Edward de Bono's Six Hat Thinking.
Mhm.
Yellow is that color of optimism. It's the
Mhm.
color of, we say in sales and marketing, you must radiate to attract. You must radiate like the sun to attract.
Mhm.
So if your sales figures are in the dark, it's because you are not shining enough light into the
Mhm.
marketplace. You're not putting enough energy into the marketplace. And so that first zone, the yellow zone, is so important, as in I am going to radiate into the marketplace in social media form, in personal form. I'm going to be in the network. And then when I meet people, again, we say your energy leaves an imprint. What
Mhm.
energy is showing up? What energy is showing up? And you want to be showing up as positive energy, as likable energy, not as, I'm a snake in the grass, I'm going to rip you off, because people can smell that. The other thing they can smell, by the way, and this is where they say money and power can smell neediness, which again
Mhm.
is an Eastern, you know, philosophy. It's a metaphysics of, neediness.
Mhm.
They can smell it. In
Mhm.
the old days, they used to call it commission breath. Like,
Mhm.
"Oof, what's going on? You're desperate for the commission."
Mhm.
Versus, I am so big. You've got to come from a position of abundance. There's
Mhm.
plenty of business out there. There's plenty of opportunities, and I am a gift, and I can make your life better, easier. So there actually has to be a sell, which again is why things like
Mhm.
visualizations and affirmations are so important, to be rewiring your own brain at the start of the day and during the day. And in fact, one of the great real estate salespeople that I've interviewed myself on a podcast, literally, in fact, two of the guys I've interviewed, both had affirmations inside their car. So before they go to an appointment, on the what's it called, the thing that you pull down at the top where the mirror is, sun visor, in the
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
they had affirmations. This is going to be great. I'm a gift. I'm going to do a great deal with these people. I'm going to really, it was a series of affirmations. This guy
Mhm.
went on to be a superstar salesperson. Um,
Oh,
but
I
always,
think I have to copy that.
yeah, yeah. But, well, I can send you the links as well.
Mhm.
Superstar. But so much of it was not only his physical activity level, as in the time he started work and what he did in the hours he put in and the number of contacts he made each day, but
Mhm.
working on himself, bringing the right energy to every appointment. So does that help at all? What can I check with you? What are you learning from me saying that? What parts kind of resonate for you?
We have to change the glass which we are seeing through. As I said
Yes.
early in the conversation, sometimes it's better to compliment them on their good side first, and then give them a comments how they can improve. So that's the part I'm working on. And we need to be good with the people and know their needs rather than pushing people. And that's not my method. There is one guy I'm following from US. His name is Brandon Morin, and he
Mm-hmm.
is on a real estate business course. Like, his methodology is reverse selling. So that's really resonate me. Like, we don't sell, we don't push people, but we understand them and we follow through their need and we really help them. That's the thing really connect with me. And when I did my appraisals, when I do door knocks and getting asking for business, that's what I do, what they really need, rather than showing that neediness and commission breath, as you said. Those things are really getting to me, and that's been really refreshing. And I think those are the basic fundamental as a salesperson you need. And I want to go because many of our audience is they would just want to start on their career, on their business. They are a new business people and small to medium business owners. So how we can guide them and help them through sales to get more business and get their personal branding, business branding, and product branding, how we can help them.
Well, mate, needless to say, there's a lot to be done there. And that's why I have online courses and I do coaching one-on-one, and people come into uh, group coaching as entrepreneurs and business people, so that, because it's a journey. It's a bit like saying, I'm going to go to the gym and get fit.
Mm,
I want to get fit. Well, you can watch a video on how to get fit, but sooner or later you actually have to do something each day. It's your daily discipline. And
mm,
so you need to commit to, say, 90 days at the gym or 6 months at the gym. And ideally, you do it with someone you like to train with, because doing it with a buddy helps as
mm,
well. And that's again why being in a group and why being
yeah.
in something like SPN is
Mm,
so helpful. But in the first instance, the first thing the person, let's say they're a plumber, let's say they're a baker, let's say they're a butcher, let's say they're an electrician. First of all, we say this: you're not in the baker business, you're not in the accounting business, you're in the sales and marketing of the accounting business. Because if you're not in the sales and marketing of the accounting business, then you're not going to have enough business.
right.
Say, well, I'm a good accountant. If I just do a good job, that'll be enough. Well, no, it won't. I say to people, if you say the work will speak for itself, now the work
Mhm,
will whisper for itself. You have to find ways. And as the great P.T. Barnum said, something terrible happens when you stop promotion. Nothing, you
mhm,
know? And so you've got to go, I am in the promotion of my accounting business. I am in the promotion of my plumbing business. And that's a mindset change, because no, I just want to be a plumber. I just love doing the work. Well, again, the great Michael Gerber in his book, The E-Myth, said there's three levels. The
mhm,
technician, I'm a good plumber. I'm a good accountant. I'm a good butcher. I'm a good baker. I'm a
mhm,
good sales coach. Yeah, great.
mhm,
But if I'm going to grow my business, I have to become a manager of other people doing the plumbing or the accounting or the real estate. And if
mhm,
I'm actually going to go to the top level of entrepreneur, where
mhm,
I've actually got, let's just say, in your case, if you're going to stay in real estate, if we said
mhm,
one option is, Suraj will have 5 or 10 real estate offices
mhm,
around Australia or around Western Australia in
mhm,
10 years from now.
mhm,
If you say, but in 10 years, I'm going to be selling, or alternatively, you might say, no, what I'm going to do, Leigh, I just want to be a great real estate salesperson, but I'll be selling multi-million dollar properties.
mhm,
Now we say, it's a question of how high do you want to jump? How high do you want to fly? Because
mhm,
your mind will determine, I want to make 100,000 a year. Great. Well, that's one mindset. I want to make 1 million a year. Well, that's a different mindset. I want to make
Mm-hmm.
10 million a year. That's a different mindset. And each of those steps require different learning, different systems. So it's a question of how high do you want to fly? I was actually talking to a fellow this morning who has a great business, making very good money, at the same time saying, but I want to double it. I want to triple it. He's already got a great business. He's got investment properties. He's got a house. He's cruising along quite nicely. But here I am, at whatever the age he was. I won't say what the age was, but he was relatively young.
Mm-hmm.
He can go further. It's a question
Mm-hmm.
of, and then I'm listening to a podcast from another guy who's a multi-billionaire. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
quick. We set our own limits. We set our own limits. But let's just coming back to the plumber who's working for
Mm-hmm.
themselves. First of all, in the first instance, you want to have a very good lead generation system. And in the ideal world, not only a lead generation system, but a system that's actually as close to possible automating the sales. So the deals are done.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it means you're doing the plumbing, you're doing the quoting, you're going out to see the lead, well, you can only do so many of those. You can only do so much of that before you hit the ceiling. So, as the great Peter Drucker said, Peter Drucker was one of the grandfathers of modern management consulting. He said, the bottleneck always occurs at the top of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bottleneck in the business will
Mm-hmm.
be with the founder. And
Mm-hmm.
so the founder has to unlock the bottleneck in terms of their own thinking and their own vision.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, again, why coaching is so important, because left to our own devices, we go, who coaches the coach? Who
Mm-hmm.
coaches the coach? And I say to people, are you coachable? Are
Mm-hmm.
you coachable? Because if you're not coachable, if you're a know-it-all,
Mm-hmm.
we can't really spend much time together. But if you're coachable and you want to grow, and again, whether it be Chinese or Eastern philosophy says, when you're green, you're growing.
Mm-hmm.
Lao Tzu, in the Tao, the way of the Tao. When you're green, you're growing. When
Mm-hmm.
you're ripe, you rot.
Mm-hmm.
When you're green, you're growing. Stay green. If you're a small business and you want to grow, you better stay
Mm-hmm.
green.
And recently you swam solo to Rottnest as well. You involved in that for I think few years now. So
Yes.
this is just for you, your well-being or for your business, or how that can help people and your mindset or in business.
Well, Suraj, mate, I'm 68 years of age. As I said, my background is physical education. My father was very ill. And so from a very young age, from age 12 or 13, I've
Mm-hmm.
exercised pretty much every day, running,
Mm-hmm.
swimming, going to the gym, playing water polo. So it's part of who I am in the
Mm-hmm.
first instance. In the old days, I thought I was exercising for really physical, just to be fit and healthy and strong. And I didn't even think of the mental benefits of exercise, even though socially all of my good friends play water polo and swim. And so here I am at age 68. I swim every morning down at North Cottesloe with our pod squad. We have 780 members on our WhatsApp group. This morning, I think there was 15 or 20 of us swimming down there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm training. I've got water polo. I play water polo tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We are all going to Singapore to the World Masters. Right here up
Wow.
against the wall there, I've got a silver medal from the World Masters. We came second last time
Wow.
we played, but we're
Wow.
going for gold. So there's 17 of us in a over 65s team. So basically, one, I actually think I'm 18. So
Mm-hmm.
68 is just a silly
Mindset.
number. I think I'm 18 as a
Mm-hmm.
kid. But more to the point, these days I realise when I can't do it, say I've had a cold or a flu and I can't swim, I realise that the exercise these days is probably 90% for mental well-being, mental
Mm-hmm.
health. There's so much great research now to show the benefit of regular exercise, as it was way back when I did my master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
People felt better. They felt better about themselves. They were more relaxed. They were better at handling problems.
Mm-hmm.
So these days I have a number of charities that we have in what I call my swim for empowerment, swimming to empower others, but I realise I'm empowering myself when I do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have Neuromuscular WA, which is one of the
Mm-hmm.
charities we raise money for because of my father and my brother with the neuromuscular conditions. Eventually, they died from them. Myotonia dystrophia was the condition. Meetings for Minds, which is one of our mental health charities that links mental health researchers and scientists with people with lived experience. That's Maria Halpin and her people. That's an international charity. And Youth Futures, which is for kids, youth that have slipped through the cracks, and single mothers, to
Mhm.
educate them, to give them a second chance. And
Mhm.
one of my other charities is one called Blokes Talk Beachside,
Mhm.
which is where we run regular meetings for men by the beach in a surf club, literally to get blokes to share where they're at in terms of their own mental well-being, their happiness, their sadness. Because in most cases, we find 40 to 60% of men have never spoken to anyone about what's going on in their world. They think I can tough it out myself. And of course, that's
Right.
one of the reasons that like three-quarters or more, 70 to 80% of suicides are men, which is just an absolute tragedy, because
Mhm.
guys don't feel comfortable or safe or know how to actually bring up and talk about their own mental well-being. So we've been
Mhm.
doing great work in all of those areas. And of course, in helping other people, I'm helping myself. So none of those things are for business. They're literally to help others and to give back. And I suppose without, in terms of karma, if something good comes back my way, great. But that's not the reason for doing. But certainly when I'm swimming to Rottnest and I'm halfway across and I look up at the flag and I say, why am I doing this? Because you start to get into a bit of pain at about the 12 or 13 or 14 kilometre mark. I look at the flag and I say,
Amazing.
I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for all these people that can't do it, and that certainly helps me keep going. So
Mhm.
that's a bit about my non-sales kind of background. But of course, we're all whole people. We're
Mhm.
family, we're exercise, we're social, and really, I think the best salespeople are and the best business people are well-rounded. If all
Mhm.
they do is
Mhm.
business, they're mono, they're not that interesting, and
Mhm.
and it doesn't make for the best person. What do they say? All work, no play makes Lee a dull boy.
Mhm. And how about your podcast called Living Your Best Life? Is this about business or is this about mental health, spirituality? It seems like it's about mind and how to balance your work life harmony.
Well, it's about all of those things because it's about
Mhm.
leading your best life. And really, I in many ways, they're messages I wish someone had have given me to
Mhm.
lead my best life, particularly
Mhm.
as trying to, be self-employed, run my own business. So it actually covers all of those things. It covers sales, business, it covers mindset, it covers mental health, and even recently, I'm creating songs. I'm using AI to capture a lot of the teaching points
Mhm.
and put it into music. So I'm putting some of those on there as well. So it's
Wow.
as eclectic as Leigh Farnell is eclectic, but it is about how do you lead
Mhm.
being go from where you are now to a place that you want to go to,
Mhm.
lead your best. What does best mean? What does best
Mhm.
look like? And what would you need to do if you're going to lead that best life? And of course, life is not just the living of life, but the energetics of life as well. So it's very much a holistic approach, and
Mhm.
it's there on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, and I think it could be on
Mhm.
Amazon there somewhere as well.
Mhm. Definitely, I will link that on our description, and that our audience can go and listen to all of your wisdom you have put in there. A lot of effort there. I think 150 plus episode on various platform. And on to the meeting as well. You also mentioned you have on August 12th. You have uh, one mastermind class. This will be how many hours? And can you give us a bit of details about that as well?
Well, what we're doing, and this has been some great feedback from the group, we're originally running a 3 hour session people were going to pay for, but David's gone, no, let's do a free session. So
Mhm.
there's a free session where I'm going to be introducing people to the CZ6 system and
Mhm.
particularly introducing the CZ6 system as a way of growing and scaling their business, no matter where they
Mhm.
are in business. And
Mhm.
then we have also Richard from the E Group is going to be
Mhm.
presenting as well. And Richard runs 13, 14 different businesses. And
Wow.
so it becomes Lee's talking about the systems and the science, and then
Mhm.
Richard will be a practical demonstration of how he's applied many of
Mhm.
those principles in his business. And
Mhm.
then together we'll be doing some sessions as part of it. So it's a 2 hour breakfast
Mhm.
at Gosnell's Golf Club.
Mhm.
It's free, as in the only thing you're paying for is your breakfast. I think it's
Hmm.
under $40, whatever it is. So it's a
Hmm.
great, they serve a great breakfast and coffee down there.
Hmm.
And I can't look, the details will be via SBN and you can put the
Hmm.
link on yours.
Yeah.
But really, what you're going to get is incredible value, essentially for the price of
Hmm.
your breakfast.
Hmm.
Listening firsthand to a guy that has 13 businesses, so
Hmm.
he's an entrepreneur. He's got systems. He knows about sales and marketing, and then we're going to talk about systems that you can be using in your business. So really, it's really a no-brainer to
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
along and
Yeah.
have some bacon or have some breakfast, have some coffee,
Mhm.
and be immersed. And
And
then if
meet with
people
good people as well.
correct, mixing with great people, like mixing with like-minded, growth-orientated, as you say, the mastermind, the power
Mhm.
of many, as David says.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I would love to have a chat with you, yeah, how this goes and how we will get the comments and feedback. And I would love to have you more conversation and more episode as well, because as I'm on the real estate business as well, time to time, I can reach out to you for some sales and great advice. And you look really great and energetic. And when I saw you at the first time, yeah, this guy looks really, like you are really present. And I think like it's about your mindset and your energy and your regular swimming and working as well. And keep up the good work, and thank you so much for your wisdom and knowledge.
Thank you, Suraj. Thanks for having me on. I'll see you again very soon.
Sure, thank you so much.
Namaste, as they say. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening and watching to us on this episode. And hopefully, you get a lot of value from this episode. And if you want to get connected with Leigh Farnell, he's a great guy. And as we discussed in the conversation as well, he is involved in various organizations as well. He is coming up with the free session with the empowered by SBN network in Gosnell August 12. We'll mention this in the description, and he have his own podcast as well, Live Your Best Life. He have put a lot of effort on that one, and he have interviewed one of the best people around the world in the business as well. You can definitely click the details in the description. I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for your love and support.